Hi everyone, my name's Michelle and this is my channel Sewing Bunny, and thank you for joining me in my video today, which is my sewing room tour. So for those of you that have been following me since the beginning of the year, you'll know that I had a big clear out of my wardrobe and my sewing room, and I thought I would share with you what my sewing room looks like. Now, I did do a sewing room tour way back when, when I first started doing my YouTube channel. So I will link it up here or in the description box below if you wanted to kind of see what it used to look like and what it looks like now. I mean, to be honest, it looks very similar to when I first started out, but just probably about 50 times more fabric and patterns. But I'll pop it down there in case you wanted to see. Apologies if I've got a bit of a croak. I've just gotten over a bit of a cold and everything, so I've still got a little bit of croakiness. So I'm holding my camera today because what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip you around and I'm just going to share elements of my sewing room and also kind of how I've organised things as well. I may do a separate video on how I organise my fabric and my sewing patterns, just because I think that's probably a little bit more in depth and it might just be quite nice to do that as a one-off. But we'll see how it goes. So yes, I'll flip you around and you'll probably see me pointing lots of things and everything. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. So here is the entrance to my sewing room. I'll just give you a little quick whiz around. I do have cats in here. So my cat Misty and my cat Bentley. She's off. You staying, Bentley? Yeah, both cats didn't want to be in the video. So yeah, this is my sewing room. It is 8 foot by 8 foot. So yes, from this wall, most of the space is taken up by my sewing table, and then I've got some units, and then over here I have a wardrobe and another Kallax unit. But yeah, that is the size of my room. So if I've switched around, obviously that's the door which comes into the sewing room, and yeah, first off you've got I've got my little seating bit there. So this is where I sit to record my vlogs. I also use that chair if I'm going to sit down and sew. Some of you may know that I like to stand up and sew, but I do actually like to sit down and sew occasionally as well. And then I've got this little trolley here. So on here I have any sort of projects that I'm working on at the moment in the top section. The middle section is projects that I'm going to be doing throughout the month. So you can see just there my Mabel, Tiddly Buttons Mabel pattern, and then the other fabric you may recognise is for the Helmy shirt I'm going to be doing. And then underneath I've got my laptop, and you can just see poking out a little quilt. That's my cat quilt, because what I occasionally do is when I'm in here sewing, if the cats want to come in, once I've taken all of the stuff out here to put back on the table for my project, I'll pop the little quilt in the top, and then that becomes a little cat bed for them. And then behind that is a set of drawers. So I'm just going to move some of this stuff out the way so I can show you a bit more in depth there. So first off, I've got a couple of these drawers sitting on top of this other unit. And this used to sit in my Kallax unit, which is behind me, but I actually took it out because I thought it would actually be much more useful being on top of here. What I try and do is avoid having lots of space where I can pile things up. So I thought having this little set of drawers will just make it a lot easier. So on top of the drawers, now this little pen holder was actually one which Stuart got from work. So one of his friends that he kind of sits with actually built this, and he didn't actually want it anymore, and Stuart said, oh, actually, do you know what? I think my wife would really like that for her sewing room. So he gave it to us. As you can see, there's a little note on here: think before you take without consent. I just thought that was quite cute. But my plan is for this is I am going to actually paint it. And I've got my little Tilly and the Buttons stickers that I've kept in there, and I thought it would be nice to maybe put some of the stickers on each of these sort of edges. But it just holds, you know, just like little knickknacks, pens, Frixion pens, pencils. I've got a little makeup brush here. That's the Clean My sewing machine and overlocker. And then some scissors. So yeah, I just thought it was really nice, and just like how it spins. This little bit of fabric as well, I put on the top because this is actually quite special, this bit of fabric. This was given to me by a friend when he gave me a present that was wrapped up, and what he tried to do was to wrap it up, and it's meant to be that you reuse it to wrap as a gift for somebody else. But I've got quite a thing for koi fish, and I didn't want to give it away, and I was like, can I keep it rather than kind of give it back to you when I give you a present? And he was like, yeah, no, of course you can. So yeah, I kept this one because yeah, it was from a birthday present, and I love this fabric. It's so pretty. So yeah, I thought I'd pop that on top because I just thought it would look really nice. And then my two drawers. So let me open up this one first. So this one, it has buttons and labels and sewing machine needles and things in there. So lots of buttons and bits and bobs in there. They're in their little sort of wrappings and things. All of my labels are in here, as well as some sort of dotted around as well in here. I mean, this is an old washing up or laundry sort of container, and it fits really nicely sort of in there, so I thought that would be a nice one to use. Oh, doing it one-handed. There we go, back in place. So yeah, that's got all of those bits in there. And then underneath we have got some notions. So we've got my overlocking threads in here. I've got elastic, I've got bias binding. I think that's the majority of things that are in here. It is mainly the big spools of thread, elastic and bias binding, because I do have quite a lot of those, and it's just kind of nice just to keep them all in one place. And then lower down we go, we have some more sort of plastic drawers. Let me just get on the floor. So first off, we've got the top drawer. You can kind of just see it. I don't really need to open it up. But these are the items which I'm going to actually show you in my makes video. I do have another item that I've got in my wardrobe that I need to get out, but to be honest, this one usually is empty. It's only because I've put these in here because I need to record a makes video soon. And then next down we've got sort of big four patterns. So I've got like all of my McCall's patterns in this section there, and if I go down, I've got my New Look patterns. I've got some Butterick patterns there as well. And then down here, I've got my Vogue and Simplicity, and a couple of Sewing Magazine patterns as well. Now, I did do quite a big clear out of my sewing patterns when I did my sewing room declutter. So that looks a lot more tidy than it was. I do have this lead down here. This just goes to my extension lead for my sewing machine on there. So yes, whilst I'm on the floor, I'll swivel around to this section here. So this box, this is probably like what I'd say like is the messiest bit. Is I've just put a box there because this is all of the fabric that I need to wash. So I do need to pre-wash that. And also I do have a work in progress there that is a onesie, and it's too big to fit in my dedicated work in progress or UFO drawer. So that's why it's in there. So that one's a little bit messy. So yeah, I do need to probably do something with that at some point. I don't really like just having it shoved under the desk, but to be honest, it suits it for the time being. So after doing those drawers, then we come to my main sewing desk. So apologies for the light coming in. I'm recording this a bit in the afternoon, and this faces west. So of course all the sun in the afternoon comes through the window and you get this sort of like light here. I do have a little piece of fabric that I put up as a curtain sometimes, but I thought it'd be nice for you to see kind of how it looks just now. So this, I get a lot of questions about this desk and where I got it from and where can you buy it. This came from IKEA, and to be perfectly honest, it simply is a breakfast bar. It's not a special craft table of any description, it's just a breakfast bar. It's not height adjustable or anything like that, but I love it. It's such a nice sturdy table, and it's a really nice height. You can see there it's almost level with the windowsill, so it just means I don't have to sort of bend down a lot of the time, and it's just quite a nice big space to fit fabric on. It doesn't 100% fit fabric on all the time. If I've got like a long fabric, like maybe 150 wide, if I fold it in half, it does droop down the back and everything, but you know what, it's a decent enough size. I love this table. This used to be my dining room table when I lived in a small flat with Stuart when we first got together. So yeah, I'm reusing this one. Oh, sun's going in slightly. And then on my windowsill, I do have a few little bits. So I have this little tin here that's got Michelle's sewing bits. This is given to me by a friend. It did have a little pin cushion in the top, but it's kind of just worn out a little bit over time. So I've taken that off. And what I do is I use this tin to put any notions for my current project. So my project that I'm doing now, which is in the top of the trolley, requires some elastic. So I've popped that in there. So then it keeps it out of the way, but then I can grab it for whenever I need it. And then I do have a cup of tea on the go, always have a cup of tea. And I've got my lovely button coaster that I got in a Beyond the Pink Dot advent calendar. And then I do have this spool holder. Now this used to be full, but I've got far too many spools, and also it's probably not the best place to put it because it is on the windowsill, and sometimes if light gets onto thread, if you don't use it very often, then it can actually weaken the thread. So I've stopped doing that. I'll show you what I do now for that, but I have kept it here because it's really handy to I've got my little pin cushion here with my hand sewing needles and a safety pin that I was using the other day. It's just quite nice just to slot it in there. When I'm not using the coaster, I slot it in there as well. And I do still use these to pop on my thread spools in between projects. So for instance, if I'm using, you know, 2 colour threads, or I'm switching between projects, or I haven't put my thread away, I can just store it up here just for a couple of days until I store it in its permanent position. And then over here, we've got my magnetic pin cushion. I love this. These are my pattern weights. These are just big sort of like bolts, but they're really good for pattern weights on there. I've got this prim sort of holder, which is carrying things like my chalk, pencils, my little seam gauge, little scissors, little seam gauge there as well, my sort of what do you call it, my awl and unpicker, that's what I'm trying to think of, my all-in-one there, and my little pokey corner thing. I know they probably have all proper names, but yeah, you know, point turner, that's what I mean. And then here I've got another pin cushion. These are my slightly longer pins. So yeah, these ones are longer than these ones, so they can be useful for thicker fabrics and things. And then I've got all my little bobbin cases here. So this bobbin case is empty. It's actually one that I got because this one was starting to get a bit full. But actually, again, in my Beyond the Pink Dot advent calendar, I actually got a bobbin case with that. So now I've got 3. And in this one, I store all my normal thread. In this one, I've just got my Mariflex, which is only 3 colours at the moment there. Actually, I do have black in my sewing machine at the moment. And then I've got just my spare bobbin holder for when I need it. And then moving along here, these are my sewing machines. I love my machines. I must probably just explain what this thing is first, actually. This little gadget is what I use to record my sew-alongs. So when you see that kind of slight sort of far out view, that's because you're sitting in there and watching me on my table. So yeah, I use that as my sew-along sort of camera holder. So my sewing machines, so I've got my overlocker. This is the Brother M343D. It's a really nice, cheap and cheerful overlocker. I've never had any problems with it. It's a brilliant machine. I love it. So yeah, really love that machine. And then this, oh, I love my machine. So I got this a couple of years ago as a birthday treat to myself. So I had a very cheap sewing machine, very sort of like basic one, and I upgraded to this. This is the Pfaff Quilt Ambition 630, and it's a beautiful sewing machine. I love it so much. Sewing with it is such a pleasure. Absolutely love it. Highly recommend. If you're thinking about getting this sewing machine, do, because it's fabulous. I haven't had hardly any issues with it at all. It's been amazing. Can sometimes be a little bit fussy, maybe with sort of thread and things every now and again, but to be honest, I haven't really had that many issues with it, and I love it. And then I've got a sort of Kallax unit under here. I will actually just explain what this is. This is an anti-slip mat I use so I can pick up my sewing machines without scuffing the top of the cabinet. I've also got a sheet of it here that I use. I take that out, lay it on my sewing table, and then lift my machines onto it so that I can move it around again on the sewing table so that I don't scratch it. So yeah, let me get down on the floor so you can see this unit, because as you can see it's a little bit squashed in there. So here we go, we have the first lot of fabric. I do have to say I have a lot of fabric. I know some people will probably say to me, Michelle, you have far too much fabric for one person, but it's my hobby, it's my love, and I love collecting fabric and sewing patterns. It's a very big part of my life. So yes, I have a lot of fabric, but I'm not going to apologise for it. So yeah, I've got like my cords and my denims over in this section. In this section, I've got my knit, sort of like my, what do you call it? Like sweater knits, I guess, all in there. In here, I've got my French terry, on there, and then I do have a couple of, or 3 boxes. So in the first box in here, we have scraps. So you may recognise this is that lilac viscose linen that I made my Baden dress with, and I've still got quite a chunk of that there. I've got some black French terry, which would be really helpful for, you know, if I want to do sleeves or things like that. I've got some jersey kind of left over from some pajamas that I'm going to make for my mum. So I've got a lot of things actually in here, like scraps, which I want to make some knickers out of. So I've got lots of kind of scraps in there. So this is basically like my larger sort of scrap sort of bin. And then further down, so I'll go over this one first. This is my Guthrie and Garney Sewing Society kits. So I do have 3 of them in there. This is something else. This is something that I was meant to do for Stuart. So I've got 3 Sewing Society kits. I've got the I've got a tote bag. I've got my denim jacket, which is probably this one here. This is the new one. And I do have another one. Can't remember quite what it is. But my aim, I think, is once I've used the kits, I'll then use this as the drawer for maybe new fabrics that I need to wash. So that is the ultimate plan for that. So I do need to use those kits, but I want to keep them all in the boxes. It's a little bit of bulky storage, but it works at the moment. And then this one is my bulky fabrics. So again, you may recognise this fabric. This is what I made my dressmaker's ball dress, my Vogue dipped hem dress from. And it came in 3 metre sort of bits from eBay. And yeah, I didn't use all of it. So I've still got quite a lot of it to make myself like a little jacket or another sort of dress of some description. I've got some chunky fleece back cord. I've got big fluffy French terry, some alpine fleece here with polar bears on. So this is just really bulky fabric that I can't really store in this sort of neat fashion. So moving over slightly, I do have some boxes here, and these do have fabric in. I'll explain why they have numbers on. You've got number 9, number 10, number 11. So all of my boxes that I have like this are numbered because they've got fabric or patterns in, and this is what I use for my sort of online sort of storage. I use Trello, and I use that app to catalogue all of my fabric and patterns. So you'll see these boxes as a little theme going round soon. I've got my little footstool here. I use this to put my sewing machine foot pedals on when I'm sitting at the desk, because the chair I use is like a bar stool and I can't touch the floor, so I have to put the foot pedal on there. I also use that if I want to put up my little curtain for the window, or I need to pop my camera in that little thing there. So that's a nice little handy little stool there. I've got my little tripod that I use for, I don't really use that too often now. I do use it sometimes for photos. And then my big tripod, which I treated to myself, I think it was about a year ago after my little one broke. It's a great tripod, really sturdy. And I use that for my close-up sew-along things. I use it for my videos after, you know, my sew-alongs, when I do like my twirls outside. I also use it for photos, and also when I just record my day-to-day vlogs as well. So I just kind of perch this up when I'm sitting in my chair behind me and chat to you guys from there. And then I do have, oh yeah, just to explain a little bit down here, this thing shoved at the side of the wardrobe is Stuart's sort of, I forgot what they call it, like a sort of design sort of pad thing, like where he can sort of do sort of technical drawings and things. I've got my little Baymax, which a friend gave me, so he hangs there, and my little clicker, which is when I'm taking photographs, I can click that and it creates well, it just pings the picture. And then I've got this hanging unit from my wardrobe, and this just has a few little bits in. So up here you've just got some empty plastic wallets. This is what I use to store my PDFs in, which I will show you a little bit later, and my sewing machine guide as well. That's kind of quite helpful if I'm wanting to look at certain stitches and things. This is empty at the moment, nothing in there. This has my sort of some of my measuring things, so if I want to quickly grab a tape measure or a ruler or something like that, I can just grab it from in here. I've got my French curve as well, and then in here I've got my notebook, so if I need to make any notes for any of my vlogs. And then this bit of fabric, this is my curtain that I use for my window. So it's just a metre of cotton fabric that I just shove over the top of my sort of curtain pole, and it blocks out the sun, which is really helpful. This was a Christmas fabric that I was meant to make a table runner with. I never did. So yeah, I use it as a makeshift curtain. I mean, I could just make myself a curtain, but to be honest, that works really well. I just literally hook it over. It works a treat. And then down here we have some sewing patterns. These are sewing patterns that I haven't catalogued yet, so I've just kept them in there so that I know not to put them in my main drawers or where I put my independent patterns, just because I haven't catalogued them. So yeah, that's where I keep those. Also on the wardrobe, I've got some like my pins and things like that. I've got this lovely little picture that my friend Anna gave me. And then if I go above the wardrobe, oh, more boxes. So you can see I've got number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So these 2 have fabric in, these 2 have indie patterns in. So my commercial patterns are in the plastic drawer set that's by my sewing table, and all my independent patterns are in these. I've also got these little tubs here. This is mainly for my cross stitch when I'm making cards and things. So it's got, you know, like card toppers, washi tapes, all that sort of stuff in there. And then this is my tracing paper. It fits out really nicely to shove it at the top there, and I can just grab it as and when I need. So I will open up the wardrobe so you can see what is inside. There we go. So inside the wardrobe here, I'm trying to block the sunlight, so apologies for the shininess. So at the bottom here, we have got some fabric boxes. These are 2 deep, so there's 1 in front, 1 behind. There's 2 behind, which are filled with cross stitch things. So like my cross stitch patterns, like my bigger pieces or my bigger kits, as well as like the card and things that I use for my cross stitch cards. But the 2 at the front here are PDF patterns, PDF sewing patterns. You've got my spool holder. So I've got this big one here to hold all of my spools. I've probably only got about 6 spools free. So goodness knows what I'm going to do when that's filled up. This one here, this little one, this has my Mariflex thread in, so it's separate from the big one here, as well as my shirring elastic. This little owl bag here, I love this. I got this at an owl sanctuary in Cornwall. I love this bag, and that's got my knitting in it. So that's currently got a scarf in it, which has been neglected for over a year. Yeah, my poor scarf. And then if I take those bits out, I'll show you what's behind it. And then I've got my meter rule here as well, I forgot to mention. But if I go back enough, you can see I've got this little stand. And this contains 2 of my other fabric boxes. So this is only 1 deep, so you're not 2. You can see I've got the gap here. These 2 have PDF patterns in. Then I've got these little boxes that actually came with the unit, and this has my PDF patterns that I haven't put together yet, so they're just ones that have come back from the printer. And then in here is fabric that I need to show you for a fabric haul. So this is brand new fabric on there, so I've got that in there. And then I've got some little tiny fabric boxes at the top here. This one's actually empty. I need to work out what I'm going to put in there. This one has my cuffing and ribbing in. This one has my cross stitch card kits in, the little ones. So I think one of them is Christmas related and the other one is all other occasions. So I've got those in there. And then if I go up even more, the hanging space is actually occupied by these hanging little shelves. Now I've got some hangers up here which I use for when I'm showing my makes. I'll put something on a hanger so that I can show you it properly. I've got these lovely little guys up here. These were made again by my friend Anna. So I've got some like hens up here and I've got some little bunnies. And then in this first section here, this is all my cross stitch kits. So again, I've got some kits here for cards. These are my knitting needles. This is a knit your own little dragon that I haven't done. I've got a little flower felt kit there. This is like the box that I use for when I'm doing my cross stitch, like my little carry case so that I take it downstairs and, you know, do my cross stitch in front of the telly, but otherwise I just leave it up there. In here, I've got a little make your own stocking, which I got in an advent calendar ages ago and I haven't made it up yet. And then this little green box here, that's got my finished cross stitch cards in. So once I've finished them, decorated them, I'll pop them into an envelope and I'll pop them in there ready for when I need them. So mainly got like Christmas cards and things when I try and make them throughout the year. I've got some little pockets either side which have some little random bits in. This one is more or less empty. these two bits here, this is a dress that I made my mum that she's asked to shorten into a top because it's kind of like quite a thin jersey. It's really, really nice, but she just wasn't wearing it as a dress. So she said she'd much rather it as a t-shirt. So I just need to shorten that at some point. And then underneath is some pajamas that I need to finish off for her. So at the moment, I've just literally cut out the pattern. I haven't sewn any of it up. I was meant to do that over Christmas and I haven't, and we're already in May. So yeah, she might get it for her birthday, which is in August. So yeah, that's kind of all the inside of the wardrobe. I just think it fills out the space so much better than what it was before. And then on to my Kallax unit. So first off, thought I'd share with you this little cross stitch bunny, my little sewing bunny. I love this. This was a pattern that my lovely friend Karen from So Little Time, she gave to me as a gift, and I loved making that. And yeah, I thought I'd frame it and put it on my Kallax unit so I can see it all the time. I love that. So obviously round here is fabric, but I'm just going to take you up so you can see all what is on top of the Kallax unit. So if I come around, as you can see, I've got a lot of storage up here. So these are the fabric boxes that you saw when I was looking at my wardrobe, and then I have got two behind, one up, one down there. This is my quilting, like wadding and stuff, so that actually arrived the other day, so I don't really have anywhere to put that at the moment, so I've just left it on top of there. I've got another two boxes here. This one is empty, I promise you, this one's empty, but yeah, this one's got some stuff in it. And then on top of my Kallax, I've also got my notions. So this is actually one of those little tool, you know, like where people have like in their garages, like, you know, like nails and screws and things. But for me, I've got like a couple of pencils, and I've got my like little buttonhole chisel. I've got some safety pins, my little fabric clips, hand sewing needles, like chalk, as in like, you know, like proper sort of square or rectangle tailor's chalk, zips in here, just lots of random bits. I also have my little hand creams here as well, and I do have this little soap which was in a So Hayley Jane box. I don't want to use it, it smells so nice. I'm just going to leave it there to make the sewing room smell nice. And then above that I have got these long boxes which contain my fat quarters. So this box can actually fit these fat quarters in, but I took these out because they are ones that I've selected for my upcoming sort of quilting projects that you may know about, that I'm doing for my charity quilting. So I'm going to be using probably most of these for my charity quilting, as well as other little fat quarter projects every now and again. I've also got my sticky tape there as well, and then if I come down, this is all of my fabric. I'm standing back as far as I can. So on here I've got jersey fabric here, I've got jersey here as well. I'm going down here, oh sorry, I've got sort of more sort of plain jerseys, then I've got more of my lightweight jerseys and viscose jerseys. Down here, or if I bend down, we have some cotton lawns and some viscose linens, double gauze fabrics, and then over here is all of my cotton fabric. And then down here, my last little two drawers, this is my sort of shove everything in type drawer. It's got everything from like my masking tape for when I'm doing my quilts, my little label maker, my rotary cutter, spare pens, some interfacing bits, like my rivets and things, like just sort of shoved in there. And then this one is my work in progress or UFO pile. So I've got like my fringe dress that I really need to get doing. I've got a top that I made from that, and the lovely Andrea from Beyond the Pink Door actually gave me this fabric because she knew I wanted to make a dress, and I'm desperate to make it, but I just haven't got around to finishing it. I've cut it all out and everything, and I've started sewing it, but I really need to get my skates on with that. This one is my oh, what do you call it, Shelby. It's a romper. I've got my Tilly and the Buttons Jessa shorts, which, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to finish those. I'm not sure if they're going to fit me very well. And then some of you may remember from Vlogmas, not last year, but the year before, this shirt that I started to make Stuart, which turned out to be an absolute nightmare, even though it's a really easy sewing pattern. But I'm still angry at it. So it's still sat there, waiting to be finished, which I will do at some point. So yeah, that is my Kallax and all of my fabric. So that was my sewing room tour. Let me know what you think. I think I will do a separate video on how I organise my fabrics in the boxes, like with the numbers, and how I use it on Trello, and also how I store my PDF patterns, and when I catalogue my independent and Big Four patterns as well. I think I'll do that as a separate video because you might like that. But let me know if you are interested in how I catalogue my fabric and patterns, then do let me know and I will create another video for it. But yeah, I'm really pleased with like how this has sort of turned out. What I will do is I will actually insert some footage of what my sewing room looked like before I did this tidy up. It's an absolute bomb site. It was awful. It was completely cluttering up my mind, my creative sort of flow. And so now everything has its place. Everything is nice and organised. I mean, yes, there's a lot of stuff in this little room, but you know, it's all nice and tidy and manageable. I really like what I've done with my storage solutions inside, like my wardrobe, for example, is so much better, and it's so nice using my Kallax units. in a slightly different way, because again, I used to wrap my fabric around boards and then load them in the Kallax unit, whereas now I just neatly fold them up. And I've been using fabrics, you know, from my Kallax units, and it's just so much easier just to take the whole pile out, find what you want and put the whole pile back in nice and like neatly. I really, really like it. So yes, let me know what you think. If you did like the video, then please do give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, it would be lovely if you could. So if you have any questions or anything, then please do leave me a comment, and I'll be happy to have a chat with you. Okay, well, take care everyone, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye.